Hello, my name is Trent McKenna. I'm here at UC Berkeley working for the NEARI SimCenter, which is a National Science Foundation funded project. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to install a SimCenter research application on a computer running Mac OS Catalina. Now, the SimCenter releases a number of software applications. Each of these applications requires 6 steps to get it running on a Mac OS Catalina system. The first step is to create a directory. Second step, we're going to download some applications and put them in this directory. Third step, we're going to edit what's called a Z-profile file. Fourth step, we're going to download then the SimCenter application. The fifth step is a fun one. We get to play with bypassing the security on the system so that it now recognizes the applications we've downloaded and will run them. And then finally, we're going to test the installed software just to show you how it works. If you need further help with the software installation process, this actually can be found in a section in the online documentation. Each of our research tools has some online documentation. And finally, if you're still struggling, do read the message board. The SimCenter has a message board with one forum dedicated to each tool. You might find your answer there. If you don't find an answer, just post a question and one of us will answer it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate the install process for a research application on a fresh Mac OS Catalina system running on a VM on my computer. So here's the VM. And what we're going to do first is we're going to create some directories. There's 2 ways I could do this. One, I could do it in the terminal. I thought I'd do it with Finder, as most people are used to Finder. So when I bring up Finder, there's pretty much nothing here. So I need to get my home directory. So I'm going to do a Command Shift H will take me to my home directory. In this directory, I want to create a folder. I'm going to call that folder bin. So I'm going to use this task thing here to create a new folder, and I'm going to call that folder bin. So that's the only directory I'm going to create here. While I'm here, I'm going to do a Command up arrow, which will take me to the directory above my home directory. And what I want to do is move F McKenna, my home directory. I'm going to move it over to here because I'm going to be using it later. Okay, so that's done. Step 1, we've created my directories. Step 2, we're going to install some software from the web. We're going to use Safari to do this. So the first software we're going to go get is Python from python.org. And we're going to look for the download page. So we use, again, the search criteria are python.org and download. Oops, I can't spell download, but nevertheless it got me there. So we're going to download version 3.8.3, which is currently the latest version. So that is now downloaded. While we have our browser open, we're going to go get the others. Next one, Dakota from Sandia National Lab. So here it is, Dakota. So we go down this page a little bit. They had a number of offerings. So we're going to help ourselves here. So we're going to, in this little tool, we're going to go to the Mac OS. We're going to limit ourselves to 6.12 releases. And we only want the command line. And it limits us to 1 application. So we're going to download that application. Okay, so that's Dakota. Next up is OpenSeas. So the user download page is the one we want. You have to enter our email address. If you're not registered, you're going to have to hit the registration page and go through that. Here's the page that we'll bring up. There's 2 links here. We need both of them. So we'll click on the first one to go get the OpenSeas executable. And then we'll click on the second to go get TickleTK. So we have now downloaded all the applications, all the external applications. So I'm going to close our browser again. So now let's go deal with unpacking these applications and getting them up and ready. So we're going to open downloads. So let's do this in Finder. So I'm going to go to Downloads in Finder. So first up, Active State. Let's do that one first. So we double click on the package. Brings up all this stuff. Continue, agree to the license, install the computer for everybody, take the default install path, enter my password so it'll actually install. Okay, so that's Active State installed. So now we have Tickle on our system. We need Tickle because OpenSeas uses Tickle. Next up, let's do Python. So we're going to go continue. We're going to agree to the license. Install it on the default location. Enter our password again. Okay, and that'll bring up this window. Let's not dismiss this window. There are two files, and we want to execute both of these files. So we're going to double click on this shell file here, install certificate command. So that's now executing that command. Okay. And then we want to do this other one, update profile command. So that one's done. So now we've run these two commands. That's all we need to do. We can now exit here. And we can close this window. And the Python installer will move itself to trash. So why don't we move the active Tickle to trash as well now that we have installed that. There we go. So now we have two files in the downloads directory. So we're going to double click on both of these to open them up. So now we've two files and two folders. It's the folders we want to keep. The tarballs we can get rid of. Again, we can send these to the trash. Okay, so now in downloads we have two folders. I do not like the long name on this, as you'll see why shortly. So let's shorten it to Dakota 6.12.0. Now we have these two folders. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move these folders into that bin directory. So we'll create a new Finder window. We'll move in that Finder window, we will move to the bin folder. And we will just grab these two folders here, move them from downloads now. They're now in our bin folder. Okay, so that's the software down. We've got a little bit more to do to get them installed, which is the next step. So for the next step, we are going to edit our Z profile file. So let's bring up a terminal. We're going to bring up two terminal windows here. So let me do Control N to get another terminal window. Just to show you what's going on. So we now need to set some environment variables so that when we run our applications, the operating system will actually find them. So in our home directory, there is a file, .zprofile, this file right here, if you can see my mouse. We want to edit that file. Because this is a brand new version of Catalina, I have no editor, so I'm going to have to use VI, which I haven't used in 20 years. So VI profile. So escape I, if I recall, will bring us to the insert mode. So we're going to come down here and insert some information in these lines. So let's go to this terminal window and show you what we're going to insert. So we're going to go to that bin folder we created. Again, we have two directories. So let's do OpenSeas first. So we're going to cd into OpenSeas 321. And that file there, that OpenSeas, is actually the application. And the path to that application is this here. The user is fmckenna bin OpenSeas 321. So we're going to go back to this folder and set that path in here. We're going to add this basically to our path. So we can't make a spelling mistake here. And one very important, we need to repeat that other above line. See the way it's got the $path? If you don't do this, you will mess up your system. So that's the path to OpenSeas. So now we're going to go find the path to Dakota. So cd ... cd ... will bring us back to our, too far. So we're back in our bin directory. We are going to go to Dakota, so cd Dakota. If we do an ls, we see we've got a bin directory. So we're going to cd into that bin directory. And there's our Dakota application. So we want to add now user is fmckenna bin Dakota 6120 bin to our path. Yours, of course, won't have fmckenna unless you've got the same name as me. So it's in lowercase Dakota. Again, we need the colon, dollar, curly brackets, path. Close the curly brackets. Okay, just confirm now that this ends correctly. Okay, that looks right, so let's escape. Escape Shift ZZ will save that file. So if we look at if we do type env right now, we see the path is the original path. So we're going to kill this window here, create another one, so Control N again. If we now type env, we'll see that our path is now changed. We got users fmckenna bin Dakota 612 /bin and users fmckenna bin OpenSeas 321. So that's what we want. So if I now type OpenSeas, it will find the OpenSeas application. So let's do that. So we're going to type OpenSeas here. And we're going to get this error, move to trash or cancel. So let's cancel this. Whatever you do, do not move it to trash. We're going to cancel this. And what I'm going to bring up now is our settings, system preferences. System preferences, we're going to go security and privacy. And there we have, see there we just try to start OpenSeas. So we want to hit, right now we're going to specify allow anyway. Okay, this is because Apple doesn't know who I am. So they don't know anything about OpenSeas. So next time I ring it up, I get this open. So I'm going to specify open. I'm going to exit. And if I do it a third time, I shouldn't have to do anything. There we go. So now, for any future time, anytime I start OpenSeas, won't ask me any security questions. So that's OpenSeas. Now let's Dakota. Dakota's a fun one. So let's do the same thing for Dakota. So I'm going to try and start Dakota. I'm going to get that same message. I'm going to say cancel. It's going to pop up here in my security and privacy. I'm going to say allow anyway. I'm going to come back here, type my Dakota, allow it to go open. Oops, a daisy. We get this. And we get this for an awful lot of their libraries. So we're going to say cancel here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to have to type this command on the terminal. So sudo, so as a root user, I'm going to invoke the application spctl with the option master disable. What I'm doing right now is turning off gatekeeper. So it's going to ask me for my password. So now when I type Dakota, it'll run. So that's good, but now I need to turn back on gatekeeper because we don't want any malware getting on your system. So we're going to, let's up arrow 2 times. So we're going to enable it again. So sudo spctl -- master enable will turn gatekeeper back on. So there we go. If I type Dakota now, it runs. Okay. So next, let's go get one of the SimCenter applications. And while I'm downloading it, let's just say that those commands are in the documentation. The spctl, turning it on and off. So here's the web page for the EEUQ application. If I look at research tools, we can see all the other research applications SimCenter releases. If I'm just going to today install the EEUQ, let's quickly, while I'm here, show you the documentation. So here's this installation. I just wanted to show you that those spctl commands are here. So install additional applications, Mac OS users. If I come down here, there's those sudo spctl commands I was doing. So to say, they're in the documentation. Oh, and I didn't mean to delete my browser. So now let's go to the download page. So the download page brings us to Design Safe, where we keeps all our applications. So here we are downloading. So now we have to hit this download button to actually download the application when it's at Design Safe. Okay, that's downloaded. So now I can exit. So we'll go to the downloads. And we just go to the folder. So we're going to double click on the DMG file. And it opens it up. And from here we can put it anywhere we want. For now I'm just going to put this on my desktop. You really don't put desktop applications in bin directory. So we have now copied it over. So we now have EEUQ. Here's our application. To start it, we just double click on it. Actually, before we do that, we have something else to do. Python is not yet finished. So if I type Python 3, I will get Python. If I would try and import one of the modules that SimCenter uses, for example, pandas, I'm going to get an error saying it's not there, so I have to type quit. So this is what you want to do. Before you do it, you want to do pip3, pip3, and install. So I can install pandas, numpy, and one other, but the one way to quickly get all three is to pip3 install Pelican instead. Again, this little cheat is in the installation guidelines. Pelican is actually a SimCenter Python module that includes the packages we need installed: NumPy, SciPy, and pandas. Okay, so that is run. So everything is ready for EUQ to start. So I'm going to double click on EUQ now here to start it. And there's one last thing we have to do, well, actually two. There's that setting issue again. We know how to do this. Just open this up again. Open anyway, there it is. Be able to close that. Give it access to my desktop. So here it is. Now before we actually run a simulation here, we're going to do one other thing. We're going to go to Preferences. So under EUQ menu, Preferences, we are going to change the default Python location. It has picked up the version of Python that Apple distributes. That version is version 2.7. That version is not good. It's not. Python 2.7 is being deprecated. It's no longer supported by Python, so we really shouldn't use it. So I'm going to reset my Python to use Python 3, and then I'm going to say save. So now I'm going to use Python 3 when I run the back-end applications. So I'm going to run a very simple model to get this running quick. So we only want to do a few simulations. We need to specify a random variable. For that, I'm going to change the floor weights from a number 140 floor to a variable WF. For my random variables now, I'm going to give this a normal distribution with a mean, say, of 150 and a standard deviation of 15. Okay, this doesn't look so good in my little inside my VM here, so I have to enter full screen mode now to see my buttons. So the number of options here, so I'm just going to run it locally. Okay, we have success, we have some numbers, and we have some graphic. So with that, I'm going to finish. I've demonstrated how to install a SimCenter application and get it running on the Mac OS Catalina operating system. Again, if you have any questions, have a look at the manual. There is that installation section. And any other questions that aren't satisfied by the manual, just go to a message board.